Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Future of Work Weekly Report. This is where we discuss the hottest headlines and trending topics happening in the future of work. So anything with flexible work, remote work, hybrid work, AI, or productivity, we're going to be discussing it. And as I always say, today is no different. We are going to be looking at a Forbes article written by Rachel Wells, where she picks apart the Flex report of 9,000 companies being surveyed and interviewed to take this data and really get the overall outcome of what the title is for this, which is the year in remote work, 2024's biggest shifts. So that's what we're going to be discussing in this Future of Work Weekly Report. And then at the end, we're also going to be talking about what's ahead for 2025, according to this article. So let's go ahead and dive into it with highlight number one. Full-time in-office decline. So the popularity of full-time in-office mandates continues to wane, with a noticeable 4% drop in companies requiring it since early 2024. And just to hone in on the statistics here to get a better view of the landscape is only 31% of employers now require full-time office attendance, down from 35% in Q1 2024. Now, this is important because if we just look at it from an eagle's eye view, we can see that Amazon is requiring people back into the office. We can see Zoom was there at the beginning of the year requiring people to come back into the office. We could see UPS, Dell, the list goes on. And those large headlines from those large companies might oversaturate what is actually happening. And what we're actually seeing happen, again, from the Flex report, a very credible source in the world of future of work, is that we're seeing a 4% drop in companies requiring full-time in office. So that's something that we have to think about whenever we're thinking about the future of work, because those articles always seem to rile up people on LinkedIn, especially, and they want to talk about remote work's dead or flexible hybrid's dead, right? And that's just not the case whenever we really break it down into the data that we see. Speaking of, since remote work and flexible work isn't going away, we see highlight number two from this article is that structured hybrid is the new standard. So what they say is that structured hybrid model offering clarity on in-office days has surged in adoption, providing predictability and flexibility for employers and even employees alike. And just to add on this again with some statistics to paint the bigger picture, structured hybrid models are now used by 37% of employers, and that's up from 20% in early 2023. So that's a 17% increase of adoption for structured hybrid models. And if you're not familiar with structured hybrid models, we don't want to assume here. And so structured hybrid models is like, we're going to go to the office Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then we're all going to work remotely on Mondays and Fridays. So you have that specific time that you're going into the office. And I think the reason that a lot of people like this approach is, one, it does create that structure. You know that everybody's going to be in the office on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then you know that everybody's going to be working remotely on Mondays and Fridays. So if you know that people are going to be in the office on Tuesdays, then you can plan what you need to in the office on those days. And if you know that people are going to be working remotely on Mondays and Fridays, you can do some of those deep work days and maybe less meetings. So I could see where this becomes attractive to a lot of organizations. Now, my devil's advocate approach here is that it depends on how large the organization is and how distributed your teams are. right? If you're a smaller organization and you have everybody working within a 50-mile radius, let's say, then yeah, that's going to be a lot easier to construct. Now, if you're a larger organization, let's say 500 plus, or even lower in some cases, 300, 150, you might have people come into the office, but is it the same office? Can you get everybody into that one single office, or are they in different locations? If they're in different locations, then you might want to reconsider the structured hybrid approach and go more towards a flexible hybrid approach, because if somebody's just going into the office, we've heard this now, it's kind of like the new saying, as we just had a meeting that could have been an email. I feel like this is, we just went into the office when we could have worked from home because I sat on Zooms all day, right? And so you have to think about, are there enough people in the organization that being in office Wednesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursdays are going to be beneficial? Or is it just something that we're making our team do because that's what everybody else is doing, right? So with all of these things, you got to think about what makes sense for your organization, right? And so, but just to reiterate here, because the point of the structured hybrid insight and stat is that, again, whenever people say remote work is dead or flexible work is dead, we're going to go back to the traditional 9 to 5. These numbers just do not suggest that, right? At most, we're going to go to a structured hybrid approach. That might become the new normal. Only time will tell. All right, so let's go to highlight number 3. I think we got 4 highlights and then the 2025 at the end of this. So highlight number 3 is remote opportunities in insurance. So in this article, they say that insurance ranks just behind tech in embracing remote work as more roles in this industry become open to flexible arrangements. They say only 7% of insurance firms mandate full-time office attendance, solidifying the industry's commitment to remote work options. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because I would say that the closest thing to tech in the form of knowledge workers are probably insurance, because you can do a lot of that stuff online, over the phone, or through video conferencing tools. And so it makes sense. They also mention a call out for financial services in there too. So I don't know if they're grouping financial services as part of insurance. I wouldn't, but they did mention that too. But it was just mainly the main call out here is that insurance is the second most popular for remote work, and we might be seeing that increase, which is going to be very beneficial for them. Now, they do preface this and say, make sure that if you're shifting to insurance as a career, that it is something that you're interested in, and you're not just making a move because it provides a remote work opportunity. Now, it's all up to you, but I think they wanted to put that preface there, and I don't want to leave it out either. We don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. All right, and that's really it for that one. So let's just go ahead and go straight into highlight number 4, geographic trends and flexibility. So they have a map on the article. Let me actually see if I can pull it up, because it was pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and zoom in, and then that way we can look at it together. So let me just share my screen. How many times do you hear that a day now? All right. So we can see that right here. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. So what they're saying is that location matters for remote work availability. The Western U.S. leads in offering remote roles, while the South lags, favoring more traditional in-office policies. And I'm technically in the South, but got lucky, I guess. And then the stats here, or just a call out, is metro areas with higher cost of living shows greater flexibility driven by a mix of factors, including industry diversity, commute times, and regional politics, actually. So what we can see is that this map is showing that the West offers the biggest potential for remote work. And then they're saying that down here in the blue is the less likelihood of having remote works. And that's surprising. I wonder if Texas actually is in that, because I know that a lot of companies are there, but they also have a lot of headquarters too, Google, Canva, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you so you could get a visual on what we're talking about, and CrowdStrike can get a free advertisement, I guess. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this out with what's ahead for 2025. So what they call out here is that with remote work still a top factor for employee retention and satisfaction, 2025 will likely see even more structured, hybrid, and flexible work arrangements. Employers who recognize remote work as a competitive advantage will position themselves to retain talent effectively, especially as demand for flexibility continues to grow across industries and regions. So, I mean, I think that we can kind of put that together from what we've seen already and all of the other future of work weekly reports that we've been talking about, right? Anytime that a company chooses to announce or mandate an RTO, return to office, we see that the retention of those employees go down or turnover goes up, however you want to look at it. And in some cases, we just see them like quiet quitting and that kind of stuff. So they might go to the office, but they're not actually doing their work because they're frustrated with what's been going on. And we see that pushback from Amazon. We see it from every single organization that has put out an RTO mandate. And if there's other articles out there that say otherwise, I haven't seen it. So drop those in the comments if you can add links. I can't remember if you can in YouTube or not, but this is the importance of Grapevine, and I'm not going to go full sales mode here, but as we continue to adopt this flexible hybrid or even structured hybrid moment, it's so important that you don't have these fragmented tools that create scattered information. Because if you're going into the office one day and then you're going to be working from home the other day, or especially if you're flexibly hybrid, right? If some people are in the office and some people are working home and vice versa, or some people just they're too far away from an office that you guys have, even if it's a WeWork option and they're in more of a rural area, it's going to be harder for them to get to an office. And so what you really need is that centralized platform to manage your communications and your knowledge management or your information, because that back and forth, a lot of things can get lost in translation. A lot of things can just get lost in general. So whenever and just the way that we're going about it is so much different than other platforms that I've seen. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. We're a startup, right? But are we thinking about it a lot differently than some of the big players, some of the up and comers that are making a lot of noise right now? I absolutely 100% believe so, because we're not just thinking about productivity. We're not just thinking about employee experience. We're not just thinking about engagement. We're not just thinking about internet or knowledge management. We're thinking about all of it, and we're putting it all in one platform. And we got some big news coming early 2025. So if you want to stay up to date on that, we constantly, if you can't tell by all of our videos, we are very transparent. We are building in public, and we mean that. Again, look at all the the videos that we put out. Look at all the articles that we put out on our website and the things that we post on LinkedIn. So I say all that to say, if you're a company that is looking for a tool that is built specifically for remote and hybrid organizations like yourself, don't hesitate to reach out to us, right? We can have a conversation. If it doesn't work, that's okay. We'll keep you in mind. You keep us in mind for a different time. But I definitely think that what we're building is unique for the situation. And I think that if we can rally together and build this thing together where it matches what you're looking for and it matches our vision that we're trying to obtain, then this can be the office of the future. No lease required. Look at the website right there. All right. I appreciate you so much for watching this Future of Work weekly report. If you like this, make sure to subscribe so you can get updated every time that we post another video. These Future of Work weekly reports, we typically try to get them out on Thursday. On Wednesday. Last week was Thursday because of the election. We try to get it out every single Wednesday. So make sure to subscribe and share it with any other Future of Work pioneers that you have in your friend group or companies. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.